Hi, and welcome to Messages from an Angel. I'm Angel Morgan, and I'm your host today. And we are going to have such a great time. We have our very first guest of the show. Her name is Aleks.ceho, and she is our astrologer for the month. She is going to be telling us about everything that's going on, and I'm telling you, there is a lot going on. We've already talked and talked and talked and talked. I think I've talked her ear off before we started. It's going to be a fantastic show. We're all going to learn a little bit about ourselves on this particular show. We're going to learn about what kind of astrology she does. We're going to learn about a whole whack of stuff, and we're going to have a really great time. So if you are joining us just now, welcome. Please know that we are on Facebook Live. You can catch us on Periscope. You can also catch us, where can you catch us, Anisha? Twitter, Periscope, Twitter. We have so many platforms, so let people know. Share this as we're working live. And also, you can call in. This particular show is our call-in show, and you can catch us at 647-931-4701. And when you call in, you get to talk to Alex, and you get to talk to me, and you can ask about your own astrological sign and what's happening for you this month. So, after the break, join us on Messages from an Angel.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Hi, and we're back with Messages from an Angel, and we have our first guest, Alex. How are you, Alex?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing today, Angel?
I'm awesome. I think we're going to have a really great time. I'm really excited to have you. You are our first guest, so this is going to be a real honor for us to have you with us today.
Well, no, thank you. Thank you for having me and for bringing up this opportunity to talk about astrology, because it's my number one love.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay. Well, my own journey into metaphysics started when I was about this tall, actually. So my grandfather was an amateur astrologer. Oh. And so he had astrology books, but everything else at my grandparents' place were these brown, dusty leather, like encyclopedias, like the Britannica and that kind of thing. And I remember finding this turquoise-colored book. Mm-hmm. And my first love of astrology, I will totally admit, was superficial, because I took this turquoise-colored book and I opened it up and I started reading about Hermes and Aries and Aphrodite and
all the mythological characters
and how they related to the different zodiac signs.
Really?
And so I absolutely fell in love with them, and to me these beings were real, and in fact they still are real to me this day. And so as I started reading their stories, I fell in love, and that led me to start studying about astrology. And that was kind of how I learned how to read, pretty much, was reading these astrology books and getting into the myths and legends.
Wow.
And so from there I learned how to cast my own chart. I was about 10 years old the first time I did it, using an ephemeris.
What's an ephemeris?
So an ephemeris is almost like a daily listing of where the planets are. Mm-hmm. And so they'll cast it out for years. And so you can get ephemeris that date back all the way back to, you know, the time of Christ, actually.
Wow.
And so they have tracked things that far back, and they'll track things in the future as well.
It's so funny you say that. I was just literally watching the Da Vinci Code for the first time the other day, and they actually used something like that. They were talking about that kind of thing. So that's really interesting that you say that.
Yeah. Well, we know that because the planets have their own cycles and their own motion. You know, we know how they work, we know their timing, and as a result of that, we can predict where they are and where they'll be at. And so an ephemeris can either track it to the past or to the future, depending on what you want to look at.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Now, this ephemeris, is this something that we still use today?
Most people don't. It is something that you can use.
It's very traditional.
But it is very traditional.
Okay. So now, how do you work?
So, well, myself, I actually still will use an ephemeris.
Really?
There
Cool.
are a lot of things that I still hand calculate.
Wow.
Just because I prefer to do it that way. That being said, though, there are a ton of astrological programs out there that can very accurately trace, you know, what's going on, that can actually trace somebody's birth chart. There can be minor variations and that kind of thing, which is why I do like to calculate things on my own.
So for those people out there who don't know what a birth chart is, why don't you explain to our audience what that entails?
Okay. Well, let's take a step back before that, actually.
Okay.
So we are spiritual beings. So we have this physical body, but this physical body is not who we are.
Yes.
So at our birth, as the soul prepares to come and inhabit this vessel, what it does is it's almost like it comes through a filter, and it grabs these energies and it anchors them into the physical body and helps create what we call the personality. And so when I do a birth chart, I'm looking at two things. One, I'm looking at the nature of the personality, because our personality is actually an illusion. It's not really who we are. But the second thing that I'm doing is that I'm also looking at some of the qualities that the soul originally brought in, because it had its own flavoring, seasoning, spice,
before it even came into a particular body or personality.
Exactly.
Wow, okay.
Exactly. So you have the nature of the soul, and then you have the nature of the film that it brought in with it.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So that's a very, very detailed way of saying that, or letting us know what a chart is. So.
Yeah, and so what the natal chart does is it gives you an understanding of how your personality functions, but it also gives you an understanding of the innate qualities that you yourself actually brought onto this planet.
Wow, okay. So now there are many aspects to a chart.
Absolutely.
There are houses, rising sun, all of these different things.
Yeah.
So how do you take into account, I have heard, okay, this is a better question.
Yeah.
I have heard that you can take a look at a chart and you can see all the different houses and how the different astrological signs affect you with which house it's in. However, that's a basic idea of what your life is, because a lot of people say, and I used to be one of these people, when you have a chart, it's inflexible. So you know, I'm in trouble because, you know, if there's a clash here, there's this here, this, then I don't know, I can't do anything about that. But that's not true, is it?
No.
Okay, so let's start with what are houses, what are all those different things, and how you work within the chart.
Okay, fair enough. So again, I want to take a step back here, because if we're a soul inhabiting a physical body, then what that means is that we also have this beautiful thing that we call magic, right? And when we look at the astrological chart, the qualities are the qualities. So for example, you know, if I have, let's say I have Mars in the 7th house, well, that might mean that I like to combat in my relationships.
Right.
Or it might mean that I can be a little bit competitive. Or it might mean that I can be very passionate.
So what is a house?
So a house itself are what are considered to be the 12 basic domains of life.
Okay.
And so as the planets...
So that's like health, money,
health,
love,
money, relationships,
right.
love, joy,
Okay.
service to others, career, right? You know, the way our mind functions. So each of the houses has its own area of life that it governs over.
Right.
Right? And so within the astrological chart, Some houses may be governed over more so than others.
Okay.
Very often it's normal to have what's considered to be empty houses. So there's no planet governing it there.
Okay.
Right? Now, that being said, just because we have a planet somewhere, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to dictate the way that area of our life runs.
Okay. That's what I was talking about
Yeah.
earlier, that whole idea that our own life experiences can shape how that house is ruled or how that house works for us.
Absolutely. So there are life experiences, but then there's also the learning, the growth, and the spiritual development that we have as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I work with a form of astrology called esoteric astrology. And in esoteric astrology, we begin this path where, in the beginning, we are entirely ruled over by the planets and the stars. It's a full moon and we're crying, or we're going nuts, or we
Yes.
want to eat chocolate, or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Been there, done that.
And so in the beginning, there are these astrological energies, and as they hit us, they make us do a crazy little dance.
Yes.
Right? Mercury goes retrograde and we don't know how to talk.
Yeah.
Or our car breaks down, or whatever. But as we learn, as we grow, as we develop, as we deal with what's called the negative ego, and we begin to rectify ourselves and really start to bring ourselves in alignment with our true qualities, what starts to happen is a reversal of this process. So in the beginning stage, there's the planets and the stars, and then there's me.
Yes.
They are above me. They tell me what to do.
Wow. Okay.
But what starts to happen is as I grow and as I begin working with these energies, so when I say, I know it's a full moon, and you know what?
Right.
I can start clearing out some of that extra emotion.
Right,
I
because
can
now
start-
we can dictate, we can say, okay, I know there's a full moon coming, so this is what we can do to navigate through that time.
Exactly, and
Right.
bring myself to a place of greater strength, greater purity.
How do I utilize
deeper
it?
healing?
Yes.
How do I utilize it? So that's the second step. And as we keep doing that, it's almost like being ground through gears.
Yes.
Right? The healing process can sometimes be a bit intense.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we were talking about that just before the show, how there are some lunar eclipses, two solar eclipses and a lunar eclipse that's
Yes.
coming. And you're going to tell us a little bit more about that later. But
Yeah.
the reality is it's already hitting us. Even though the first one is next week, you were saying on the
Yeah.
Thursday. And the only reason I know this, people, is because she told me, is next Thursday. It's really already affecting us because these energies do come in.
Absolutely.
And what's really cool too, and sorry, I just need to say this because, without social media, we wouldn't be here. The internet is very important now for us because we can actually go, right, and look up. We can go and look up, okay, we have a moon or a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse coming at a certain time, and what does that entail? And it'll say, the solar eclipse for 2018 July, this is what it's going to do for you, or
Yeah.
this is what's going to do for your particular sign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Years and years and years ago, they didn't have social media to rely on.
Yeah.
And so they had to rely on their innate knowledge and the knowledge that was passed down of the cycles of the moon.
Now, was astrology something that was a common household thing where people just understood astrology, or they had it, like you said, passed down to them from grandmother to grandchild? Because I was always of the mind that astrology was very specific, that very specific people took interest in.
Mm-hmm.
But was it something that, because we farmers, right? They
Yeah.
use the almanac, they use
Yes.
all the different, where the moon is, all that kind of stuff. So I know farmers did, and I know that people of the land did, but was that a common thing?
Truthfully, aspects of it, yes.
Okay.
But that's more again to do with the moon cycles and that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
that
And
makes sense.
that's something that was handed down out of necessity. Right, because it led to having more productive crops. It led to a
Right.
deeper understanding of the feminine mysteries and that kind of thing. But other elements of astrology were held very secret and very select, actually.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
You know?
That's what I had thought. So if I was someone who didn't have the internet, before the internet came to me,
Yeah.
how would I have found out? Like, would I have had to come to someone who is an astrologer?
Pretty much.
So do you find that the internet has hurt your business in that regard? Joking.
Yeah,
I'm just
well-
joking. But no, actually, really, has social media taken people and said, okay, well, you can go do your own thing now. You don't need the astrology? Or do people still go, no, I want to sit with someone and I want to hear a person's voice. I want to go through my chart with someone.
Truthfully, I've seen both.
Yeah?
Truthfully, I have seen both. So in some ways it has brought huge awareness, which is great.
Phenomenal,
because it means that people want to understand themselves. It means that they want to live a different life, right? And that's the whole purpose of anything. That's the purpose of astrology. That's the purpose of healing. That's the purpose of ceremony. It's the purpose of magic. It's the purpose of readings.
Yes.
If it's not leading you to a better life, then it serves no purpose.
Yeah.
Right? But what I have found is that a lot of people have tried to do their own charts online and that kind of thing, and it lacks life.
Yes, I agree with that. And that's I think where we were talking about again before the show is the whole idea of doing a basic chart, and that it gives you an idea of what's going on, but then you have to become more detailed, and this is where gifted people like you come in.
Exactly, because the essence of two people is not the same.
Yeah.
The essence of two people is not the same, but they could have similar charts, and you could go plug that into an internet website, and it'll tell you some generic qualities and that kind of thing, and you'll go, yeah, I kind of get that, and no, I don't really get that.
I understand. So tell me something. What happens, and this is a curious question I've always had, what happens if you have a chart, but they've given you, say, the wrong information? Say they've given you 9:15 a.m. instead of 9:15 p.m. Would you be able to look at that chart and look at that person and go, something seems off here, it doesn't feel right? Like, can you actually make that correlation with people and adjust?
I'll be honest with you, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends, because if, for example, they give me an incorrect birth time, and
has that happened to you before?
That's happened to me before, and usually people catch it before, because I always like to confirm things. Right. So they usually catch it before I actually do the reading for them.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things about astrology is that the chart does not always agree with itself.
What do you mean? That's an interesting statement. It doesn't always agree with itself.
It does not always agree with itself. So let's say that you have a quality that is cooperative.
Yes.
You can also have elements of being uncooperative in your chart.
Okay.
And so just like any personality, there are times where we are at war with ourselves. And so the chart can indicate aspects that don't agree.
Okay.
And so when I'm looking at a birth time, there are times where I can go, yeah, absolutely. And, I'm really not sure about this one.
Yeah.
But then there are times, where especially if I don't know the person very well, right? Well, that might be a possibility.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it just, you have to look at the
know
overall.
the person very well. And then on top of it, I also have to examine it from the place of respecting the fact that I have a bias, because I look at things a certain way.
Right.
Based on my own tendencies in my own chart.
Oh, that's interesting. So when you're looking at a chart, or any astrologer is looking at a chart, it is really an interpretation from their perspective as well.
Absolutely. And it's also about their ability to communicate it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Your own astrology never stops coming into play.
Yes, that's really cool.
And so the more you can remove your personality from it, the better the reading becomes.
Right, because it becomes more neutral. So
exactly.
But that's like psychic reading as well.
Absolutely.
Because when you're psychic reading, you have to take yourself out of the position, or else it becomes advisement. It becomes counseling rather than allowing information come through. I think that's what's exciting to me about reading psychically, is the fact that I'm surprised. Like, there are things that will come out, or information I get, and I'm like, really? And my client would be looking at me like, no, I'm not talking to you right now, I'm talking to them. And I'm getting this information, and you just sit there going, I couldn't possibly have made that up if I tried.
Yeah.
And it's a whole new piece of information. And that's really when you're out of the way, because you're seeing things with eyes that just go, wow, and there's a sense of wonder with each thing. And is that the same with reading astrology?
Absolutely. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times people will say, get out of my head.
Yeah, oh my God, I hear that. It's like, oh, wow. And it's so funny, because I find that when people get uncomfortable with me, I know. And I'll go up to them and I'll say, are you okay? And they'll go, yeah, I don't know if you know what I'm thinking right now. And you just sit there going, yeah, it doesn't quite work like that, but I get it. Now, do people, when they leave with their charts read or interpreted, how do they normally feel after it's been done?
Well, there's a few things I like to do. I always like to take a constructive approach to doing a chart reading. So first and foremost, I always make sure that I address some of the key or core qualities that they have brought in, because those are the qualities that when they engage them are going to bring them joy. So number one, there's a reminder of the goodness that's within them.
Right.
Because
And that's always about empowerment, right?
It
You want
is.
people to be left empowered.
Absolutely. And, you know, we have this awful thing that we call the negative ego. It's kind of like that little devil on our shoulder. And it reminds us about how terrible we are on a regular basis.
Yeah, exactly.
You did that wrong. What's wrong with you? You can't do that. And all these kinds of things. And so when someone sits with me, one of the most important things for me to do is to help them to remember their own goodness.
Yes.
Yeah. Because if they can't remember that, how are they going to have a life with joy? How are they going to have healing? How are they going to have
Well, I
good
think a lot of
relationships?
people will come to get these charts done too because they want guidance. They want to
Yes.
know, what's going on in their lives or where they can enhance their lives. Even if they have
Absolutely.
difficulties in their lives, it's like, okay, well, show me where the difficulty is so that I can, again, I love the word navigate, to navigate through that or to smooth that over in my life. So when people leave feeling empowered, they feel like, okay, you know what, I know the next step. And then for us, that's where we've done our job.
Right. And so the second piece is that I do address some of those issues that can come up in the chart. And so my job is to help them understand the core energy of the core essence that lies behind the challenge.
And we're going to take a little bit more of a look at that when we come back to Messages from an Angel.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Hi, and we're back with Messages from an Angel, and I'm Angel Morgan, and this is my guest, Alex. And Alex is our astrologer for the month. We've been talking about what astrology is and how it works. Now, in this half of the show, we have our phone number up here, 647-931-4701. So you can call in and talk to Alex, because in this part of the show, we're going to be talking about specific astrological signs and what's going to be happening. We may not be able to get through all of them, obviously, but you can call in and ask about your sign and what's up for you. Now, we left our last segment with talking about the second thing that you leave people with when they leave.
Yes. So in addressing the chart, one of the things that I like to do is I like to work with the challenges that people come up with.
Right.
Right? Because like I said, the whole point of this is to better your life.
Okay, let's see how smart I am. Are those called clashes?
They can be called clashes.
See, I knew. Right, go ahead.
You can call them clashes, you can call them challenges, you can call them issues,
exactly.
you can call them whatever you like.
Yeah, all my astrologer friends, they call them clashes, so I'm just like, I'm on the try to look smart today. Okay, so clashes.
Yeah.
Or conflicts.
Whatever you want to call it. And so as I help people to understand the nature of the conflict, then they can begin to navigate it in a different way.
It's funny, my partner loves astrology, and one of the things he likes to do when he sees astrology is he likes to find out where the clashes or the conflicts are, because then he knows what he's dealing with and how to deal with them. And I think that is really important, but it's really funny because that scares people too. So on the flip side, when we got together, I was scared of that. I'm like, I don't want to know about that kind of thing, because that means we're going to break up or this or that or the other. And do you find that a lot of people are afraid of that kind of thing?
To be honest with you, when most people come to me, they're coming to me at a point where they're tired of it.
Really? Very interesting.
And they want change.
Right. Okay, that would make sense. Yeah.
You know, that once in a while I get someone who's curious, but for the most part, I do tend to attract people who are looking for serious change.
Yeah. They're at the crossroads.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's a healthy thing when people I mean, I've come to that point now in my learning over the last 2 years that it's actually healthy to look at every aspect and not be afraid. And speaking of fear, we were talking about what's going on and what's coming up, you and I, and we were talking about the idea that there are, you were saying, 2 solar eclipses and a lunar eclipse.
Yes.
So tell us about that, and tell us how that, we will start with the Gemini, because I and Alex, we are both Geminis.
Yes.
We're going to start with the Gemini, and you're going to tell us a little bit about what to expect from these solar and lunar eclipses, and we'll just go through maybe the signs. And if we have callers, please call in 647-931-407, or you can Facebook your questions. We have those there, or you can tweet us your questions or Instagram us your questions. We love Instagram, because if you give us Instagram, then we can see it right up on the screen. We can do everything we need to do here. So Facebook us, Instagram us your questions about astrology today, and we will answer those, or Alex will answer those questions for you. So talk to us about what's coming up for us this month.
Okay.
And next.
So in general, over the next month, starting next Thursday, we have 3 eclipses happening.
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah. Notice how she's happy, and I'm like, oh, I'm scared, Mommy, I'm scared.
There's nothing to be scared of, although fear actually is part of the energy of the first eclipse.
Especially for the Gemini. Thank you. Keep going.
Okay.
We're good. She'll let us. Oh, okay. We have. All right. So we have our. I'm going to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's
so
okay.
So we have our first caller. Hi. How are you? I can't quite hear you. Can you?
In general, for the next month, starting next Thursday, we have 3 eclipses happening.
Wait, that's.
Am I on hold?
Yay!
Yes, you're on hold. Hi. How are you? Oh, I
I'm doing good. How are you?
Awesome. What's your name?
My name is Trish.
Hi, Trish. How are you?
I'm doing good, Angel.
So what's your question, Trish?
I figure I'll just ask Alex what's in the stars for me.
Okay, and what is your astrological sign?
Libra.
Libra. Thank you for calling in, Libra.
And when is your birthday, Trish?
The 9th of October, 1981.
Okay, 9th of October. Okay.
Okay, I have to tell you, I'm glad a Libra called in, because I have a Libra, so this is good. This is great. Libra and Gemini.
Okay, so the reason I asked for your actual birthday, Trish, is because I wanted to figure out where the sun's going to be in relation to your own. Because Cancer and Libra actually have a special relationship in that they're both considered to be cardinal signs. And so this eclipse is actually going to be making a little bit of a harder aspect with your actual sun in your chart. So I don't have my program here to do all the exact math, but I do know that it's going to be
an overview of what's coming for them. Like, what can they expect? What do they need to work through?
So here's the thing. This first solar eclipse is actually going to be affecting your house of your career, which and so this is really a time to look at the decisions that you've made in terms of your career that have to do with safety, actually. Because this particular solar eclipse, the first one, is all about how safety and the need to create that safety blanket is affecting our lives. And so this is going to be a really good time for you to assess, have you been making moves that you need to make in your career? Have you been playing it safe? Have you been kind of downplaying yourself and not competing with others just so that you don't really attract negative attention and that kind of thing? Now, solar eclipses also can be a time of new beginnings. So if you do have any changes that you really want to make, even though this is considered to be a hard aspect, this can also be a very productive one if you're willing to have a little bit of faith and to actually make a leap.
Now, you were also saying, because we were talking, actually, funny enough, about Libras, and you were saying that this also brings up a lot of childhood stuff right now in this particular solar eclipse.
Absolutely. So again, working with this theme of Cancer, because Cancer very much deals with our parents, but also with our inner child. And so when the sun is eclipsed in the sign of Cancer, and especially because it's going to be in an actual aspect to your own sun in your chart, this is also a really good time to deal with any issues of security that come up and of not feeling safe that actually stem from your childhood. So you may notice other themes come up as well. You might also notice anything that has to do with bringing in security via the form of eating.
Interesting.
And anything that has to do with bringing in security via the form of what's in your home and what you keep in your home. These are also things that you could definitely explore, Trish. And because it is a hard aspect, you may notice little crises here and there. But again, these are things that are being triggered so that you can actually let go and release them.
That's amazing. So even though things are coming up, we need to recognize where it's coming from. That's something we're actually really getting good at my house. It's like, okay, well, is it full moon right now? Is it my 14-and-a-half-year-old will come to me and go, Mom, is it a full moon today? Like, are we in a really weird place? Because I feel really funny, I feel really strange. So when you become aware of these things, it really helps too. Thank you, Trish, for calling in. We really appreciate your time, and thank you for your question.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, good luck with your career.
Yeah, no kidding. So you just got your first call on our show.
Awesome.
I'm so excited. I am so excited. I love the show. I'm telling you, people, I look forward to my Thursdays because when I come in, I know it's going to be fun. I know Anisha's going to be with us. Now, Anisha, you're a Cancer, right?
Leo.
Oh, that's right. I don't know why I keep thinking she's Cancer. That's bizarre. Yeah.
Well, the birthday's close, but she might have more Cancer in her chart than Leo. Sometimes that happens.
Well, as a psychic, I might be picking up on that. Sure. So we were talking about the Gemini, and then we'll talk about the Leo as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, Anisha's got to get it into.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about the Gemini a little bit. What is the Gemini to expect? We talked about the solar eclipse with Trish.
Yeah.
So why don't we take a look at the lunar eclipse and what's going to happen with the Gemini there? Like, what is that about?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so for most Geminis, barring the fact that if you've actually looked at your chart, you know where your houses are in your rising sign and that kind of thing. For most Geminis, this particular lunar eclipse is actually going to be sitting in the 9th house, which is all about our ideas and our philosophy. Now,
oh, Lordy.
Now, lunar eclipses also deal with our emotions. So here we have this very mental energy, and it is a lunar eclipse in Aquarius.
Yeah.
Right? So we have this highly mental energy, and we have this highly emotional energy of the lunar eclipse.
Wow.
And so this is really going to be a good time for us Geminis to look at the way we intellectualize our emotions and sometimes avoid emotional expression.
Oh, good to know. See, now that I know that, I'm like, okay, I might meditate more. I might go for longer walks.
Yes.
I might get outside. And it's something I'm doing actually. And it's so funny because we're so, not to interrupt you, but we're so instinctive. Like, even if we know nothing about astrology, we know nothing about the esoteric world, instinctively we'll start to do things. Yes. Like for me, I had no idea that this is what was coming up with the lunar eclipse. And already yesterday, I felt the need to go down to Halton Falls. And I was under the water. I got shown, go under the water, go allow yourself. And it was so purifying, but it was also very grounding and centering. And I've been finding that I've been really in conflict with my mind and my emotions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's also about the ideals that we have for ourselves that we try and cater our emotions to.
Interesting. Give me an example of that.
Well, for example, some people, hold this ideal of poise.
Yes. Yeah, how do we hold ourselves? How do we present ourselves? How do we project ourselves?
Right. But emotional expression doesn't always fit
up
into that.
And we Geminis know that, don't we?
And then what happens is, we're emotional and and then we beat ourselves up for not being graceful and poised.
Oh my God, it's crazy. This is why I love astrology, because when I talk to an astrologer, what will happen is I'll look back on my week or I'll look back on my month and I'll go, oh yeah, that happened. Oh yeah, that happened. Oh, I was hard on myself over. Oh, really? That's what it was about. So it's amazing again how we are just so in tune with all of this without even realizing where it's coming from. It's just so important to have at least a basic understanding, I think, of these things.
Absolutely, but the most important thing is to connect to it.
How do you mean?
See, for us to understand something on an intellectual level, on a mental level, doesn't always mean that it actually results in something in our lives.
It doesn't actually manifest. Just because we have the knowledge doesn't mean
right.
we can put it into practice.
Right. But as we begin to work with the energy of things, and we experience, and we learn, and we reflect, that's when we can actually start to make a change.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah.
Our mind does not change things. it just changes itself.
Well, yeah, you know what, I've always believed that it's not the mind that changes, it's the heart that changes and the mind follows. So when you have a certain attitude about something, or you have a certain held belief about something, you can't just go, okay, you know what, today I'm going to make that change and I'm going to change it. No, you have to understand the change that you need to make. You have to truly really go on that journey, and then once it clicks, once you've shifted that vibration and you're sitting on the new vibration, then the mindset goes with it. And people think it's just, oh yeah, you know what, I can wake up and now I've got that understanding. No, that's knowledge, that's academic. It's when it actually falls into your body that then the mind follows. For me, the mind always follows, right?
Yes.
That's a big thing. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Leo. What's coming up for her this month?
Well, this month actually will be a little bit, how do I put this? What's the right word here? July will be quieter. August will be a little more loud, actually, for Leos, because the second solar eclipse is happening August 11th. So the second solar eclipse will actually be in the zodiac sign of Leo.
Oh, okay, got it. So when it's in our zodiac sign, it actually hits us that much more.
It can have a deeper impact, especially if it's on or close to our birthday, or if it's sitting on any planets in our chart.
Okay, yeah.
You know, but again, that's something that you would have to have somebody take a look at.
Now, Anisha's birthday is one day after the first lunar eclipse.
Yes.
Right? So she's on the 28th, it's on the 27th.
Yes.
And so will that affect her differently because she's so close to that energy than, say, somebody else who is
a little bit further away?
Yeah.
Yes, actually it will.
Have fun. I'll be here if you want to talk. Ice cream, maybe?
No, don't run away. Don't run away.
See, that's my thing. Whenever I know something is coming for Gemini, when I know something, it's like, I'm ready for it. I'm like, are we stocked up on ice cream? Are we good? And everybody in my house is like, okay, are we going to be with her? Are we going to hold her? Are we going to stay away from her? So I got it. I totally got it. So what's coming for her near her birthday? Let's talk about her birthday eclipse.
Okay. So that lunar eclipse will be conjunct the sun in your chart. And, you know, again, whenever we have a lunar eclipse, we are looking at the inner emotional state. And the thing is, this particular lunar eclipse is in Aquarius, and Aquarius is the most unemotional sign of the zodiac.
What? Wait, did you say this lunar eclipse is the most unemotional sign of the zodiac?
Aquarius.
Oh, Aquarius. I think about Leo. Yes.
Yeah, Aquarius is the most unemotional sign of the zodiac. Right? And so the fact that you have this lunar eclipse sitting almost on top of your sun is really going to bring out some of the hidden emotions for you. But at the same time, what it will reveal is some of the thoughts that are egging those emotions on, and the logic that's egging those emotions on.
That's interesting.
There is a tendency metaphysically to separate air and water, and they are different elements. But what we don't realize is that at times, and we often think of people who are highly logical as being very Vulcan, very unemotional, and very dry. But at the same time, you know, like I love to use Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory as a huge example, because when something doesn't abide by his logic, he can get very emotional about it.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? And so a lot of times being highly logical about certain things will drive us to be very emotional. And so this lunar eclipse is going to bring out some of the logic that is driving your emotions. And so this can actually be really healing and really liberating, because our logic isn't always sound.
Yeah, we just have to be aware that when we go through these emotions, again, I go back to that always, because I repeatedly go back to that because it really makes a difference. What are you experiencing in the moment? What energies are in the stars that could be possibly affecting that?
Absolutely.
See, for me, when it comes to astrology, there is no potato is just a potato. You know, I truly believe that sometimes a potato is just a potato, but when it comes to astrology, if I'm experiencing, or someone I know, a loved one is experiencing, so the first thing I say is, what is your astrological sign? And I go look up what's going on. And 9 times out of 10, it will correlate in some way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, in a huge way.
Now, the other cool thing about this particular lunar eclipse for you, Anisha, is that this is a really good time for you to begin working on your intuition, because as you clear out some of that logic, Aquarius is also the sign of the higher mind. So as you clear out some of that logic, what you'll find is that your ability to predict and to forecast things that will come into play in your life will actually be a lot stronger.
Wow. Okay, so where can people find you if they want to talk to you or have more of a read with you or have their chart done with you? Because you do charts, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so where can we find you?
Okay, well, you can find me at the Spiritual Emporium in Mississauga, which is
great place, by the way. Awesome place. It is. We have Maggie on in a couple of weeks. Actually,
yes.
The owner of Spiritual Emporium is going to be on our show. She's going to tell us all about it. Fantastic place.
So you can find me there, or I can be located on my website, which is masterthestars.com. I'm fortunate that I do get to travel quite a bit, so sometimes I can also be found in Japan and Brazil and the States and other countries as well.
So do you do Skype work as well? Like you'll talk to people over Skype?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. So she's easily accessible, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to find out more about our show, Messages with an Angel, you will, what about us Saggies? Okay, so you can find me at raisingenergy.com if you want to know more about Message of an Angel. I want to get to this question. We have 2 minutes left. So, Sagittarians, thank you very much. Who is asking it? Blake Smith says, what about, second is my birthday. Noelle James, what about Sagittarians? So talk to us about that really quick. Give us a quick
well, our opposite sign here.
Sagittarians, the opposing to Gemini?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So we had to bring in our twin, right? Okay. Twins and then the other twin.
Okay.
Okay. So Sagittarius. So first of all, this first solar eclipse is actually going to really bring up something around one of Sagittarians' biggest loves. So Sagittarians take after Zeus, and Zeus loved 3 things. He loved the opposite sex, he loved food and drink, and he loved humanity.
Yes.
And so for Sagittarians, it's the first 2 that are really going to kind of come into play here.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And so this is a time for Sagittarius to take a look at, who am I keeping around me? Now, there's an element of clinginess that's actually coming up with this first solar eclipse. Now, Sagittarians tend not to be clingy, and so you may not experience it as you being the clingy one, but rather as people being clingy with you. So if you experience that, then you know that there are relationships where there are people who fear about the safety of that relationship. And so to take it to a better place and to get rid of some of that clinginess, just reassure them of your affection.
Setting boundaries.
Setting
it really
boundaries.
is about setting gentle boundaries, it sounds like.
Absolutely, but you also have to address the fact that somewhere there is a fear that is happening there. Now the other piece to this is that Sagittarius is half human, half animal.
Really? Okay, we got 30 seconds. Let me know. I want to
So
know.
Sagittarius, you're going to battle with your instinctual nature. So there's a few things. One, food. You got to deal with food. Because like I said, Zeus loved to eat. Sagittarians love to eat. It is that animal nature that you're going to have to combat there. The other piece is that tendency to withdraw when hurt. And so this full moon is going to bring that up for Sag. And so if you find yourself doing that over the next month or so, all the way up until August 11th when we have the next solar eclipse, then you need to start looking at some of those instinctual behaviors, because they can actually ruin your relationships.
Thank you so much for being here today. I truly appreciate your time. I appreciate you being on the show, and I know we're going to have you back here because you are awesome. Thank you so much for telling us about the lunar eclipses. And again, we can find you at, what's your website?
Masterthestars.com.
Masterofthestars.com, and you can also check out this video again and again and again and again and again on mytcntv.com, on Facebook at mytcn, and you can check us out on Instagram. Please join us after this break.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity in our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Wow, what a fantastic show. Again, my thanks to Alex, our astrologer. I'm sure we'll have her back again. It was amazing. So now you know what to expect this month with our lunar eclipse coming up, our solar eclipse coming up, and a little bit into August as well. And next month, we have another astrologer who will be joining us and telling us a little bit about what's going to be happening in August as well. Thank you for joining us. And again, go check out my website, raisingenergy.com, and check out our station website, mytcntv.com. And please join us on Instagram, join us on Twitter, and we will see you next week with our in-house psychic for the month, Angela Swift. Thank you for joining us on Messages from an Angel.